Shabbat Shalom, thank you for joining us. We'll begin this evening in a slightly different way. Again, it overwhelms me that we have homes joining in, homes becoming part of the synagogue, and the synagogue becoming part of homes. So tonight we'll begin with the Ma Tovu, which speaks of how a home becomes a synagogue, how a synagogue bolsters a home. And many of us are familiar with the words. There's a pretty melody that we'll be sharing tonight. If you're looking for the words are found in the Siddur, but I'm somewhat hoping that people will just kind of join in and chime in and remember the Ma Tovu. But again, if you are looking for the Siddur, the words are on page 101, beginning with Ma Tovu.
ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני את רצון, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, הנני באמת גישך. מה טוב
Turning to the Shalom Aleichem in the Siddur on page number 5. Shalom Aleichem, a prayer, a song of peace. We're extending greetings of peace, each one from his, her own heart, to angels who are with us. And after we sing, just imagine that those angels are going to be carrying forth our own message of shalom to someone else and someone else, which means that you become indispensable for the transmission of heavenly peace to other parts of the world. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchoni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Angels are departing and we are singing, turning to page 11, L'chuna Ranana, which literally means, come on, let's all sing together. L'chuna Ranana is a phrase from the Psalms, 3,000 years old. And they were then saying, come on, we need to sing together. That's what Jews do. We begin a day, a week, an important season, by singing together as a group. L'chuna ranana l'Adonai, nariya litzur yishenu, nekadma fana b'todah, bizmirot nariya lo, nekadma fana b'todah, bizmirot nariya lo, ki el gadol Adonai, Melech Gadol al kol Elohim asher biyado mekarei aretz v'toafot harim lo asher biyado mekarei aretz v'toafot harim lo. On page 12 on the English side. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. God was angry over people who were hard-hearted, and as a result, they were doomed to lose their way and not enter a reality of calm. Being hard-hearted displaced them from entering a reality of calm. And I'm thinking now of a leader who has surrounded himself with other leaders and followers. And they're of the most hard-hearted of all. And they have attacked innocent people just like you and me. And millions have fled, and untold suffering is unfolding in front of our very eyes. Hard-heartedness dooms us. Is it within my power to pray hard enough that somebody who is already hard-hearted will soften and change his mind? I don't know. Perhaps that's where God comes in. Perhaps if you and I pray the right type of prayer. No, that still means that we're asking God to be a candy machine and just reach in and change someone else. That's not my view of God. My view of God is bringing love and caring into the world. Maybe that's what we pray for tonight, to increase love and caring in our world. Harim shalakut v'dor v'amar tolevavhem v'hem loidu drachai asher nishpati v'api im yavon el menuchati. And customarily we'd sing some psalms at this time, but tonight again I'm thinking of the attack in the Ukraine, and so I'm inserting a phrase. The phrase is Nachamu Ami, and Nachamu means may you all find comfort. It's actually a phrase that comes from the book of Jeremiah. And so the plea, the hope in this little song, this melody, is that we will all work together to bring comfort into the world. Nachamu. That song opens with a phrase from Jeremiah that all need to come together and be a source of comfort. And the concluding phrase, Dabru Alev, means speak to the heart. Each one of us must speak to the heart. Speak to the heart of the neighbor, speak to the heart of somebody far away, speak to one's own heart. And that's an additional measure of unlocking the power of bringing comfort from one to the other. On page 19, another phrase from Psalms and then L'Chadodi on page 19 on the English side. Adonai reigns, nations tremble, the one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Sion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, awe-inspiring, Holy One. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forged the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. And let's stop there and listen to the words that we just prayed. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice. True strength emerges from loving justice and caring for people and forging a path of consistency and compassion and righteous behavior. And that's a message from our Psalms that we need to bring into the world. We are teachers for people all over this globe because they haven't heard the message yet. They haven't learned the message yet. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice. L'Chadodi on page 23 and then on page 25. Craig Talman is joining us this evening for L'Chadodi.
לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייכם. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה,
פני שבת נקבלה. And we are seated on page 27, the Psalm for Shabbat herself, page 27. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. This psalm takes the long view. This psalm is speaking from 3,000 years ago with a confidence that is measured by millennia and more. Your enemies, O God, those who hate justice and righteousness and honor and law, they will perish. And those who sing and those who bring righteousness into the world are going to literally beautify the earth. And they're going to be as essential for the ground and the soil as the roots of mighty trees and lush foliage. And that's how we welcome Shabbat every single Friday night and Shabbos morning, seeing us as being necessary for the beautification of our environment, not only in terms of plants and flora, but in terms of human society. That's what Shabbat represents, beautifying our world. So tonight we're going to pause for a moment. It's a pleasure to invite a very good friend, Larry Voigt, to the Bima. Larry is known to us from serving in many capacities, beautifying and enhancing our local community, our Jewish world, and our community of Mobile. Former president of the synagogue, former president of the Mobile Area Jewish Federation, on the boards of both, and in many other roles contributing to our community. And I'm very grateful that you asked to share a few minutes with us this evening. Mr. Larry Voigt.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm here tonight in my capacity as co-president of the Mobile Area Jewish Federation, which has initiated a special appeal for the assistance of Jews in Ukraine who are impacted by the war. And I want our congregation to know about it. We are raising money to send to Jewish Federations of North America, which is working with its partners, the Jewish Agency and the Joint Distribution Committee in Ukraine, to assist the Jews of Ukraine in protecting themselves and their families from the ravages of this war. The needs are enormous. The money will be used and is being used there for community security, to protect those who leave or stay, maintaining critical welfare services for those who are already being supported day in and day out, assisting internally displaced people in multiple locations, in 1,000 locations across Ukraine, stockpiling goods across these locations, launching an Aliyah helpline for those who need expedited support, securing temporary housing for people in transit escaping conflict zones, purchasing satellite phones to maintain communications across the region, and securing Jewish schools and training staff to manage crisis needs. Please make a special effort to support this, either through a contribution to the Federation's website or sending a check to the Federation office located at 705 Regents Drive, Mobile 36609. We'll appreciate it very much. The funds are needed immediately. The needs are immediate. And I'm proud that the board of the Mobile Area Jewish Federation has stepped in and authorized this and authorized special funding, but we need community support from our congregation. A similar request is being made by the president of the Spring Hill Avenue Temple tonight. Please help us, and I appreciate it very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Larry. Well, Larry just concluded his very important message with the phrase Shabbat Shalom, and we say the word Shabbat Shalom all the time. How often do we Jews think about what the word Shalom really means? We're taught at an early age that Shalom means peace, but Shalom really means something else. It comes from the word Shalem, which means intact, complete, and whole, W-H-O-L-E. Shalem means complete and whole, and that's why and how we coin the word shalom, which means peace. Because when something is complete and fully intact and whole, there's peace. So every time we say Shabbat Shalom, what we're really trying to do is put forth the message that our part of the world, the part that we touch, the part that we're responsible for, is complete and whole. And that's what we need to do this evening and in the days and weeks and perhaps longer yet to come. We need to help, as Larry said, shoulder the responsibility of caring for our people in Ukraine and in other parts of Europe as they're fleeing the monstrosity of these attacks. The opening bracha on page 39A, on the English side, page 39A in the Siddur, on page 39A on the Siddur, on the English side. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night, Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El chai v'kayam, tamidim loch alein olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On page 40, we know this paragraph, Ahavat Olam, love of the universe, eternal love, infinite love. The last two lines, the little red arrow on the Hebrew and the English side, the last two lines of a paragraph often punctuate the main idea of, in this case, a bracha, not a tefillah, a bracha, blessing. On the English side, do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel. Ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu la'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Page 41, Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, B'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha, u'kishartam lot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'sharecha. Moment of silence on page number 42. Adonai Elohechem emet. On page number 44. U'malchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha po'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norati lot osef eleh malchutecha ra'u v'anecha Lecha, Bokeh Yam Lifnei Moshe, Zeli Anu V'Yamro, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam V'ed, V'ne'emar, Ki Fadarno et Yaakov, Ugalo Mi'al Chazak Mimeno, Baruch Ata Adonai, Kal Yisrael. When we say Gal Yisrael to Michamocha, our feet are still wet, our feet are damp, because we just crossed through the sea. And so we step over and we dry our feet a little bit. What could be holier than being on soil that is free? And you and I know how fragile freedom of a community is. And the source of that freedom is a nation, a community. So tonight we're interposing the song. It's from Craig. You have the song sheets here in the building. It's Holy Ground. And I wish that as we hear these words of holiness, for us to see what it means to be on soil that is preserved, to be free and holy. Preserved at what cost? By whom? And how can we bolster the courageous people in Ukraine who are doing everything they can and beyond to maintain the holiness of that free soil?
Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you praise, all of life is holy ground. Every he, every she, every what, every who, it's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you. In the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm, all of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold, when you keep, when you give it away, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, all of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. We take our shoes off, we're on holy ground. We are one people, one story, one tapestry we weave, one journey, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you praise. All of life is holy ground. Can you feel the holy ground? Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground.
And tonight, we're inserting a prayer in the place of Hashkivenu, and those here in the shul have this prayer. And it's gone out in the past few emails from the shul. It's a prayer for Ukraine, written by and originating from the Masorti movement. Conservative Judaism is one component of the international brotherhood of Masorti. Masorti is the Hebrew word, it means traditional. And 35 years ago already, the Masorti movement was coming into Europe with shlichim and setting up little nuggets, little communities. And over the past 30-some years, they've been growing these communities, households and clusters of households. And these past weeks, we've been learning that Masorti communities have been supporting Jewish and non-Jewish Ukrainians as they've been fleeing, helping them to navigate through locations where travel has broken down, transportation is not available, offering them meals, home hospitality, and people have been relocated. And some Jewish communities have even reached out and managed to get people into Prague and Berlin, and also linking in with the Joint and the JFNA and other programs to help get Jewish people relocated to Israel. And all over the world for the past few weeks, perhaps 50,000 or more Jewish people affiliated with Masorti have been praying this prayer. And it needs to become part of our presence, part of our mind. And we say, God in heaven, creator of all flesh, worker of wonders, do not stay silent, do not remain voiceless, do not keep aloof. For an evil man has come to power and declared war on another country, saying, we will rise up violently against you in battle. But you, God, have commanded us in your sacred scriptures, saying, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. I am God. Therefore, make the aggressor desist from destruction. We pray to you now, God of the spirits of all flesh, to use your infinite power to end these acts of bloodshed and terror. Spread peace across the earth and bring joy to all its inhabitants, so that the words of the prophets can be fulfilled. The warrior's bow will be broken and peace will be promised to all peoples. God will judge between the nations and arbitrate between many countries. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And let us say, Amen. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol mo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Top of 46, V'shamru. V'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. olam. Beini uven b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. Ki sheshe yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. Vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, v'shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. Rising now, a few moments of silent prayer. Our traditional text before us, the Amida, pages 47 through 52, a prayer that begins with the silent whisper, "Oh God, help me to open my mouth and offer the right type of word, the right type of prayer." And it concludes with shalom, a prayer for shalom. May we all open our own private prayers with a sincere desire to learn how to pray. And may we can conclude all our prayers with a prayer for peace in silence. My grandfather, known as Shaltiel Isaac Ben Tzvi Hirsch Latensky, walked out of a small village that hasn't been on a map for 60 years, over 100 years ago. It was not too far from Odessa. At the age of 14, he walked for 2 months until he got on a boat somewhere, goes the story, and found his way to Pittsburgh. And for many years, although he had surrendered his name, Shaltiel Isaac Ben Tzvi Hirsch Latensky, and become Edward Layton, he never managed to, or he never chose to surrender his accent. I'm not sure if he chose to keep it, although I imagine he would have liked to have given it up, but he never managed to surrender that accent. And when Papa spoke, we heard the old country. Papa was sweet and loving, but he could let you know he could have a temper. Grandma was always sweet and loving, but Papa could have a temper. But he contributed from his love and from his heart to the rearing of his then 9 grandchildren who lived in his newly adopted hometown of High Point, North Carolina. Prior to his arrival, he sold brooms. He sold shoes. At one point, he was in Virginia. Then he finally managed to make his way to North Carolina, and there, after years and years of working in one business or another, he managed to slowly begin to establish a household. And my sister and I are the 2 youngest of the 9. And so as we were growing up, all of them were already off in high school and college and grown. And Papa made it very clear, you have to work, you've got to get an education, and you have to contribute to the community in which you live. And as I later came to understand what he had surrendered, what he had relinquished, what he had lost by leaving Novaburg outside of Odessa to come to America to build a new life, I began to appreciate more and more what it means to get an education, to work hard, and to contribute to the community in which you live. Papa also used to say that he loved this country. He was always grateful for having this country to be a homeland, a haven. And he had eventually a business, eventually a small furniture store. And Papa said he didn't mind paying income tax. He never minded paying income tax or taxes because this country gave him a place to live. And he insisted that as his grandchildren were growing up, that they appreciate what it means to live in a land that provides you hope and haven and shelter. I shared these words the day before yesterday. I had been invited to a small peace vigil on campus here at South. The story that needs to be shared goes as follows. There's a visiting Ukrainian professor in one of the humanities departments. And when it came to the attention of somebody in one of the student offices that there was a Ukrainian professor visiting, teaching here for a semester, someone came up with the idea of having an expression of support for Ukraine. And so they gathered a number of faculty, a number of students, they brainstormed, and one person said, I know this rabbi, and so they contacted me. Somebody else knew some members of the International Festival, and members of the International Festival came to this gathering, and that's how members of a small local Ukrainian community of people living in Mobile also came to be on campus next to the Globe in the Mitchell Center day before yesterday. And a 15-year-old boy of Ukrainian ancestry got up and played the violin. And people began to sing spontaneously, and I think I figured out that it must have been the national anthem. And to see a 15-year-old boy playing the violin of the Ukrainian national anthem next to the globe in the Mitchell Center with people from different backgrounds from Mobile moves me deeply, because it's the message of what Papa shared with his grandkids. Live in the community, work, and give back to the community. And there weren't a lot of speeches. There were a few brief remarks, music played, and then people exchanged blue and yellow flowers, and they left. It was maybe perhaps 30 minutes, but it was a testimony to how South, the university, and the community, and in a way the city of Mobile, can extend care and support. I ended my remark, just 1 minute, with a prayer. And I said words to the effect of, God, you've created your children in your own image, and we have eyes and ears, hands, feet, and a heart. See the way that the tears fall from the eyes of your children. Hear the weeping which is being heard by your children. Reach forth your hands as the hands of your children are reaching out to embrace people who are scared, alone, fleeing terror. Lift up your voice and open your spirit as your children are lifting up their voices and turning their spirits to people whom we do not know, people whom are your children, people in Ukraine. And above all, God, make your heart beat. Make your heart beat enough and deeply enough and powerful enough that it will crack open the heart of those wicked perpetrators who have closed their hearts to humanity. Summon your mysterious power, O God, and reach into the heart of a cruel dictator and crack it open and let humanity emerge. And perhaps we'll be able to have news of lessening of suffering and sorrow. That's on my heart tonight. And if I had not had a grandfather who had chosen to leave at the age of 14, who knows? May we all lend our emotional and heartfelt prayers and support to all the people of Ukraine. And may we remember also that there's an entire world out there beyond and besides Ukraine. And as Jews, we need to activate what it means to be shalom, whole, complete, intact, and we will bring shalom into the world. I ask you to rise for the Aleinu. In the Siddur on page number 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adamam, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim mimal u'shchinatu zo b'gavei meromim hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu evezulato kakatu b'torato yadata yom v'shebota el levavecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mitachat enod. Kakatu b'Toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yihye Adonai echad, Shema Echad. In a moment, Mourner's Kaddish on page number 58. On page number 58. And on this Shabbat, remember with great love, Henry Miller, Molly Silver, Nathan Sibley, Rebecca Rip-Skirwich, Esther Loeb, Eli Schneiderman, Herbert Moore, remembering Paul Buckstein, Sharon Hamburger, John Murray, Jesse Thomas III, Molly Gross, Anthony Arnold. Are there any other names to mention tonight? Perhaps you have a name to mention at home as well. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chaye chon u'v'yomei chon u'v'chaye dechol be'Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zaman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam l'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. May all know that we are sharing our love and our hope and our prayer with you. May you be consoled. Tomorrow, Shabbos morning, 10 o'clock. Tomorrow evening, Havdalah on Zoom, and that's at 7. Havdalah is going to be changing time because tomorrow night is the switch of the clock for daylight saving. And so at some point, we'll figure out what the new schedule is for Havdalah. But tomorrow night, still at 7 o'clock. And let's see. Sunday morning, we have a special Sunday school activity. Some of our young families are coming together and making hamantashen, which is going to be fun. Monday, Tanakh study is at Zoom at noon. Tuesday at 10 a.m. is an adult hamantashen making party. So if anybody's interested in learning to make hamantashen, come on over. That's Tuesday at 10 a.m. That's in person, not on Zoom. That's in person. We are opening. If you are vaccinated, then masks are optional. If you're not vaccinated, we do say that people need masks. But we're bringing people in. Come on in, folks. We're getting started again. Wednesday night, 5:30 is Purim, and so we'll be doing a Megillah, and we have Hamantashen, not the ones that we're baking, but actually real Hamantashen, and some other refreshments, and that's Wednesday at 5:30. Thursday is empty. There it is. Okay, there we go. We're going to conclude with a song, and those here in the building have a song sheet. The song is Khan, which means here, referring to this is my home, and it's sung by the IDF Naval Choir. It's a well-known Israeli song referring to a sense of being at home, and I'll read just a little bit of the English translation, which I cobbled together and squeezed into the song sheet here. The melody you'll hear is only in Hebrew. Here I was born. Here my children were born to me. Here I built my house with my own 2 hands. You're also with me and all of my thousands of friends. Here I played all of my songs and I went on a night journey. Here in my youth I defended the land of my God. And not only is this a well-known Israeli modern song, but I'm also thinking about what it means to be living in a homeland where your roots go back centuries. This is my land. This is my home. So we sing this song tonight, thinking of Israel and also thinking of the people of Ukraine.
כאן ביתי פה אני נולדתי, במישור אשר על שפת הים. כאן החברים איתם גדלתי, ואין לי שום מקום אחר בעולם. אין לי שום מקום אחר בעולם.
כאן ביתי פה אני שיחקתי, בשפלה אשר על גב ההר. כאן מן הבאר שתיתי מים, ושתלתי דשא במדבר. ושתלתי דשא במדבר. כאן נולדתי, כאן נולדו לי ילדיי. כאן בניתי את ביתי בלי 2 ידיי. כאן גם אתה איתי וכאן כל 1,000 ידידיי. ואחרי שנים 2000 סופרים דודיי. כאן את כל שיריי אני ניגנתי, והלכתי במסע לילי. כאן בנעוריי אני הגנתי על חלקת האלוהים שלי. על חלקת האלוהים שלי. כאן, let's sing a song to the land where I was born and grew beneath the sky so blue. My children too. כאן, here you are with me and so is each and every friend. 2,000 years of wandering have come to an end. כאן, כאן, כאן את שולחני אני ערכתי, בת של לחם פרח הענן. דלת לשכנים אני פתחתי, ומי שבא נאמר לו אהלן. אהלן. ומי שבא נאמר לו אהלן. כאן, let's sing a song to the land where I was born and grew beneath the sky so blue. My children too. כאן, here you are with me and so is each and every friend. 2,000 years of wandering, ואחרי שנים 2000 כאן נולדתי, כאן נולדו לי ילדיי. כאן בניתי את ביתי בלי 2 ידיי.
כאן גם אתה איתי וכאן כל 1,000 ידידיי.
ואחרי שנים 2000 סופרים דודיי.
כאן גם אתה איתי וכאן כל 1,000 ידידיי.
And now it arrives for Kiddush. Perhaps you have wine and bread at home. We're making Kiddush and Hamotzi. Kiddush is in the Siddur. It's on page number 55. Page 55. Oh, thank you, Gadiel. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech melech olam, borei peri agafen, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshana b'mitzvotav ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ava u'b'ratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh b'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Am I doing one thing? And in just a moment, a bite of bread. Baruch atah Adonai al makom asher kitshana mitzvah b'tzivon v'tzvoyim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Thank you for joining us. May you have peace this upcoming week, and may you know that you're part of a very important community and you are loved. Litro until we see each other. Now that we're open, come on back in.